Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the second Forbes School of Business and Technology Colloquium of the 2021 Colloquia series, in which we will discuss best practices, how to increase retention in an asynchronous environment. I would like to welcome our presenter, Dr. Pete Limon, lead faculty in the Department of Technology Studies within the Forbes School of Business and Technology. Dr. Limon holds a PhD in computer science with an emphasis in information assurance, an MBA in software engineering, and MS in business information systems. Dr. Limon has over 14 years of experience working as an educator, including working as a director of education, associate dean, program chair, and lead faculty. He also holds many industry certifications such as CompTIA Security Plus, A Plus and Network Plus MCSE certification, CCNA, CCNP, CCNA Security, CISSP, and CEH. Now, since this webinar is pre-recorded, you are highly encouraged to post freely and actively in the chat, as our speaker is in the room and is open to answer questions and converse with you live and in real time while also presenting. At the end of the presentation, there will also be a brief live Q&A session and/or chance for further discussion with our speaker as well. And now, please enjoy this presentation. And again, you are highly encouraged to participate in the chat.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the June 2021 UAGC CETA Colloquium. My name is Dr. Limon, and I'm going to discuss best practices on how to increase retention in an asynchronous environment. I am the lead faculty for the Bachelor of Science in Cyber Data and Security Technology. I have over 14 years of teaching experience in programming, networking, and cybersecurity. And I also have 17 years working in the field in these areas. I do have several degrees. I have a doctorate of computer science with an emphasis in information assurance and a master's in software engineering. I also have a master's in business information systems, and I also hold an MBA. Some of the certifications that I do hold are a CCNA Network Academy instructor, a CCNP Network Academy instructor. Other certifications that I hold or have held are the CISSP, the CEH Certified Ethical Hacker, the A+, the CompTIA Net Plus, the Amazon Web Services, and the Security Plus, and a Microsoft Systems Engineer. Some of the positions that I've held are faculty, lead faculty, program chair, associate dean, and director of education over my 14 years of being in the world of academics. So the agenda. First, we're going to talk about first year experience. And we're going to talk a little bit about some contributors to higher retention. We'll discuss taking away barriers. We'll also discuss proactively supporting student success, the importance of career services, faculty-driven, campus focus. We'll talk about service our students, faculty excellence, weekly reports, student issues, attendance policies, faculty engagement, and then we'll finish off with some best practices and some retention strategies. So as you can see, we have quite a bit of agenda here, and again, I would like to welcome all of you, and I will be taking questions during and at the end of the presentation. So please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, before we get into our first year or retention rate, we need to understand that in an online environment, you cannot rely on cues such as eye contact or body language to recognize when a student is struggling. You simply cannot see that. You know, I used to teach in a brick and mortar environment, and you know, for over 10 years, and you know, you could tell when students were getting, you know, needed help, or they were getting you know, you can always tell when students are zoning in or zoning out. or anything that's going on in the classroom, because you have all these cues. But in an online asynchronous environment, you don't have that. What you do have, though, are emails. You have discussion posts. You can read those. Those will tell you a lot. So just keep that in mind. We also know that competing priorities, such as course planning, life events, can sometimes knock a student off their track. As you know, COVID-19 knocked off the whole world off their track. And so some students cannot recover from that. And therefore they end up dropping or taking time out of their education. And, this could be a good thing and a bad thing, the time out could be used for, making for family issues, resolving family issues or work-related issues or monetary-related issues. And so that's important. Another thing we want to talk about is that we need to support our students, okay? We not just in the course room, but we need to support our students all the way to graduation, okay? That is the goal, to support our students all the way to graduation, to retain our students from the day one to the very end of graduation, and even during the graduation ceremony in the week of, okay? For example, we had our graduation, UAGC's first graduation of the 2021 this year, and it was a success. And the Forbes School of Business and Technology, we actually created ways to we sent out emails basically to try to reach out to these students and thank them for being great students, and let them know that we care. And that's another part of retention, is letting the students know that you know who they are. Okay, very important. So the $1,000,000 question is, how do you increase retention? Okay, well, first of all, you have to know what retention is, okay, or retention rate. So retention rate is the percentage of students that you, as a school, will retain over a specified time period, okay? So that's all the students who register, complete all of their courses, and then they graduate with a degree. That is retention. So we want to increase that retention rate, right? That is the goal. That's the $1,000,000 question. Is how do we do it? What are the tools? Okay. The other thing is attrition. Okay. So attrition looks at the exact opposite of retention. And this is also important, just as important as retention, because attrition rate shows the percentage of students you lost and did not replace or did not come back from those life events that occurred. And that's very important. You have to keep in contact with your students. They are the customer, and you have to do everything you can to help them along the way, counsel them, and just lend an ear at any time that you can, because sometimes they feel alone, and especially in an online environment, they can feel alone if they feel that maybe their instructor isn't too engaged, or other students are engaging, or maybe it's a small class size, and you have 3 students and they're not engaging. We tend not to have small class sizes, but every school is going to have small class sizes. That's just a fact. They're going to be like something they call them directed studies, and you hear that term. I've heard it for the last 14 years at any school that I've ever taught, where students need to graduate. We don't have a full class, but hey, we'll give you 3 students, or we'll give you 2 students, or hey, we'll give you 1. Just make sure that they're doing all the exact same work that they would have done in a regular course room, but you just got to make sure that you're making servicing the student and keep it in contact, because you're the only contact in the class with them. So very important to understand that. Okay, so when we talk about freshman year retention rate, so the first year is one of the most important, because many students won't make it back for their second year. And again, talking about those life events that happen, they happened to me when I was going through school, and they've happened to many other instructors that I know of, professors that I know of. It's just life, guys. It happens. And so other reasons, it's maybe there's a family emergency, sickness, the student transfers to another school, okay? Academic struggles. Maybe they enrolled in programming, and they really, really wanted to do networking, but they figured, well, you know what, programming might pay more than networking, and so maybe I'll go for the more difficult subject. and then they end up struggling in their courses. And so, this is where we have to step in and contact and be in constant contact with the student and find out what are the things that we can do for you as a student. What can we do to help you succeed, right? Because that's all part of retention is keeping the students from day one till graduation, right? And then one of the things that you also see is funding. Funding is big, right? Because if you don't have any money to go to school, then you're obviously going to drop out. Funding also comes into play when students are going to school, and then all of a sudden, they find out that they have a bill from other schools, and maybe their financial aid is being held up, and so now the student isn't able to pay for their courses, and so they have to take some time off, also known as an LOA, leave of absence. In most schools, we call it an LOA. So now I did, say a little bit about my background, and over the 14 years, all the positions that I've held, retention is every month on a weekly basis. What do we do? How do we increase it? Right? It's just two words: retention rate. But yet it has such an impact on the university and on the student and as a whole. And so that's also important to understand. Two powerful words. And so how do we fix it? There is no secret potion or formula to this, guys. It's all about following certain things that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and hoping that the student succeeds. Now, even though that we are on an online asynchronous school or whether you're hybrid or even in the classroom, brick and mortar, you got to always create a sense of belonging. Whether, like I said, whether it's asynchronous, online, um, in the classroom, always got to do that, guys. Just create a sense of belonging, and we're going to be talking about that. It's very important that the school creates a sense of belonging because the students want to feel that they want to feel wanted, that they belong to something, right? I know I did when I was going to school. When I was earning my bachelor's, I graduated from the University of the Pacific, and I went to a brick and mortar. But even though I was in a brick and mortar, I still joined clubs. Why? Because I felt the need to belong. And my major was pretty difficult, so I joined clubs where we had study sessions. We called them study clubs, and they weren't really clubs that the school had, but they were just clubs that we made up. Um, but I had a sense of belonging, and I believe that helped me graduate. All right, so what can we do, right? Connect with students in the first two classes is very important. Any university, not just UAGC, but any school. Okay, and how do we do that? Well, first of all, we need to figure out how to take away some of the barriers that can hinder the students from not passing those courses, and not moving forward to the third course or the fourth course. Right? Some of them could be tutoring. We can tutor students. We can tutor them on Canvas, the learning management system. Canvas is it has a lot of bells and whistles, and students, the more they know about Canvas, the better. Course resources, point them in the right direction. If you're teaching a course and there's course resources that'll help the student, post it up in an announcement. Let them know. Send them all an email. Okay, we create announcements, right? We do that. That's part of the job. But you know what? We got to go above and beyond that. You have to send your students an email. It is best practice to send them an email the day of the class starts. So they have an announcement, but now you're sending them a personalized email saying, "Hey, Johnny, how you doing? Welcome to the course. I'm going to be your instructor. I just want you to know that I'm excited about our course, and I just can't wait to have a discussion with you in our weekly discussions. If you have any questions for me, please don't be afraid to reach out." I always give my students my work phone so they can text me. I say, text me, call me, email me. I don't have a problem. Yes, I know I'm supposed to have a life out of work, and I do. It's called life work balance, and I have that. So I give the student times that they can get a hold of me, and I love text because I can answer right away. And students love text too. It's just it works better for them because they might be on the road and everyone's walking around with an extension of their hand, also known as the cell phone, in their hand. So It's pretty easy to do that. Another thing is adapting to online learning. Not every student can adapt to online learning. Okay. Uh, they cannot adapt to online learning if you don't help them. All right. So yes, not every student can adapt, but they will if you help them. All right. So just remember that. I don't like to say the word can't, just because I think there's always a way that you can reach out to a student, even if they have zero online experience, guys. And like I said, the email, right? Hey, what about a call? Personalized call. Hey, how you doing, Johnny? Just want you to know, my name is Dr. Limon. I'm going to be your instructor for this course. Okay? If you have any questions, please let me know. And if they don't answer, that's fine. Pick up a phone, leave a message. Okay? And then students enrolled in high fail courses. Now, this doesn't usually happen in the first 2 or 3 courses, just because the first 2 or 3 courses are not high fail courses, but they are, sometimes they are barriers for students who have been out of school. Even a course that's not considered a high course, fail rate course, such as programming. I think that's pretty. You're learning a new language, so that's definitely a high fail course, in my opinion. Versus introduction to computers or introduction to technology, right? So again, you don't want to enroll a student in a high fail course right off the bat. Get them used to the environment. Introduce them to tutoring. Take away some of those barriers that I discussed. Now, another thing we can do is we can proactively support student success. How do we do this? Well, we do this through academic quality. Okay, we do this through fostering an online culture of excellence that contributes to the vision and goals of UAGC or any university out there. Okay, I think it's very important academic quality that we produce high quality courses so that our students have that opportunity to engage in these high quality courses and learn stuff that they're going to be using out in the field when they do get a job. That's the goal, right? Getting a job, a career is not only just a career, but landing that first job in your new career. And you can do it. It just takes sometimes a little bit of persistence and networking. You got to network too. That's important too. One of the reasons it's important, network is important, is that you meet new people, and the more people you know, the better chance of you landing a job. It goes up. That's just the bottom line. That's just how it's always been, guys. So let me move on to my next slide. What about integrating the efforts of career services and academics? I was just talking about career services, right? Well, they too work with the student by identifying their learning needs, and that starts from enrollment all the way to graduation. So, programs should work with career services in order to improve academics, right? And how do they improve academics? Well, they actually can send emails out to the students and say, hey, look, these are the jobs that are being offered in your field right now. As you can see, there are a lot of them. And so, if you have any questions on any of these titles that I'm sending you, send me an email or send your instructor an email, right? And he might be able to help you out and answer some of the questions that you have about certain job titles that are out there. So, and in the end, when you graduate, career services, they're going to help you find a job. That is what the whole intention of going to school, earning a degree, right, is finding a job. Now, we can't say that's 100% because there are other alternative motives, but most of the time, it's because you want a new job, you want a new career, and you want to provide for your family. Faculty driven, very important. Okay, faculty driven academics initiatives continuously seeking new methods and pedagogy to prepare and assist students in the system in meeting academic needs. We are always trying to do what we can to find new ways to teach our students. It's kind of crazy, right? We've been teaching for over 100 years and longer, right? Teaching has been forever. But yet we still come back to how do we find a better way to teach? right? Because, the better you teach, the better you present the course, the better the student hopefully will grasp the information, become more engaged, and hopefully be part of the statistics at the end of the year and be included in that number of retention, right? Retention rate. So yes, it starts with faculty. Faculty needs to love what they do. Faculty needs to have passion in what they do. And I can definitely tell you that I absolutely love what I do. I love teaching. I have passion. I knew I was going to teach over 30 years ago. Well, actually, I found out that I wanted to be a teacher in 7th and 8th grade. Okay. I just, and I'm going to tell you why. One of the main reasons was because the instructors that I had, or various instructors, there's teachers that I had in high school and even grade school, they didn't know how to connect with me. They did not know how to connect. They didn't know how to reach out to me, how to engage me. And so what happened? Well, at the very beginning, guys, I failed kindergarten. You're probably wondering, well, who fails kindergarten, right? Well, you know what? I failed kindergarten. I also failed 2nd grade. And it wasn't because I didn't understand the material, it's because I wasn't being challenged. I went on to get D's and F's almost all the way to high school, right? And, they just barely passed into the next grade. And then, I get to high school and I'm like, well, you know what? I like sports. So what am I going to do? I want to play football. And what do you need to play football? You need a good GPA, right? You need at least a 2.0. And so guess what? The next thing that happened to me was I found ways to engage myself. I had some good high school instructors, but not all of them, and I wasn't engaged. So the only thing that really saved me was sports, and I had to become engaged in order to play football. And it was a good thing because I went on to play Division One football, and it was great. Loved it. But guess what? You also have to have a GPA there. And there, you're just not wearing the hat of a student, but you're wearing the hat of a student. You're wearing the hat of a student athlete, and then you're wearing a hat uh, of of someone who has to represent the school. And then if you join you join a club like I did, I was in many clubs. Now you're wearing those hats, and all that can take away and distract you from your studies. So again, life events, right? And so it wasn't until the middle of my bachelor degree that one of my instructors said to me, you are absolutely just off a little bit. And by off, I don't mean it in a bad way. They said, I just want to do some, you know, I just want to work with you and see how things go. Well, anyway, they basically, wanted me to learn how to study in a different way. And I did. And guess what? I have 9 degrees now. I'm a doctor, and pretty much anything I can pick up, I can read um, or learn. So I was always a good learner. I just needed someone to push me, and that's what the faculty can do here. You can be faculty driven and push your students and find a way to help them. Okay, campus focus. What do we do here? Well, we want to improve the quality of our courses, as I mentioned earlier, and that can lead to improved student, drop ratings. It can also lead to improved retention. It can also lead to improved student outcomes. And guess what? Then your colleagues are also becoming more engaged. Okay. Um, so the school of choice for online students, we want to be the school of choice for online students in 2021. UAGC wants to be the school of choice for online students in 2021. And if we don't get there in 2021, we'll continually work until we get there. Okay, we want to have an online presence where our students can go and be proud anywhere they go, and be proud of UAGC, and be proud of the degree. They should already be proud, but we want to always do better, right? And that's just what we do. We try to improve ourselves so we can improve our students. Now, how do we improve our students? Well, you have to service your students in order to improve them, right? You want to continue servicing our military students. You want to increase service to non-military students. You want to service any student. So that's why I said military, non-military, because usually that's what you get, military, non-military. And you also get corporate students where corporations will send their students to your school. Well, guess what? You want to service those students too. Everyone needs to be serviced. And that all goes back to knowing your student, knowing their needs, and knowing how to provide customer service to your students. Faculty excellence. Well, reorganization of academics can lead to faculty excellence. And what do I mean by this? Well, you put your best faculty forward, promote your best faculty, right? And you invest in your faculty outside learning activities. Okay. So webinars, send them to webinars, send them to conferences. All of this stuff can help your faculty become better instructors, which is going to do what? Hopefully lead to persistence and better retention and higher graduation rates. So it goes hand in hand. Your faculty must be involved just as much as your students have to be involved. Weekly reports based on your gradebook. Another best practice here, guys. So it's best practice to send email weekly to students with low engagements. If you see a student who's not logging into the course room, right, or is not completing assignments, or is even completing assignments late on a regular basis, you need to send them an email. You need to pay a little more attention to those students, okay? And you also want to respond with actions taken for each reported student, right? So you want to say, hey, look, I noticed that you did this, that you haven't been logging in. I noticed you're still behind. Well, guess what? If I'm a faculty, what I'm going to do? I'm going to send them an email, say, hey, Roger, I understand things, life gets in the way. I did notice that, your engagement is low in the class, and you're not turning in work. And in order to be successful and not only pass this course, but ultimately graduate with a degree, we need to improve that. And this is what I recommend. Maybe some tutoring with me, or going and seeing the tutor. If you're having problems with the writing lab, I will send you a link to the writing center, or I will even tutor you myself. Those are ways that you can use the gradebook to reach out to your students. Best practices. Well, obviously help students with issues, right? Again, always contact the students. You can never do enough contacting the student, okay? Maybe extend the deadlines for students with issues or family emergencies. And that's what I mean by issues. Except late work. We do have, most schools have a universal late policy. Abide by that. Be flexible, okay? Sometimes you can go a little bit over the late policy, whatever the late policy states, to help a student out. Send an email to the advisor for any student who's having difficulties in your classroom, especially if they failed the course. You need to send an email. All right, so just so you know a little bit about attendance policy, and it's pretty much the same pretty much for any university that's receiving Title IV funding, is students who don't, they're not attending, they're not getting attendance, and ultimately they're going to be withdrawn from the course, So after so many days, they should be sent a warning email, a warning email, attendance withdrawal notification email. And this should probably come from an instructor or even a faculty lead. If the instructor gets a hold of faculty lead, say, hey, can you send my student an email? I just need a little help. I'm sure he'll be happy to do that. Now, remember, 14 days consecutively missed by any student, they're automatically dropped. Okay, that's just Title IV, and students will be withdrawn from courses. So that's why attendance is very important. Keep track of your attendance, guys. Failed classes. Students who fail 3 courses can be dropped from the program. They need to know that. Monitor the students after the first class that they failed. Report any failing students to the lead faculty. This is another best practice. This way, the lead faculty can contact the students and give them an action plan for the next course, and maybe even some tutoring. Again, we can't get away from faculty engagement, right? Better for students that prefer interacting with professors, right? their students love to interact, whether it's discussion, through email, through interactive assignments, through labs, whatever it is. They just love interacting with the faculty. So the the more present the faculty is, the better. Zoom sessions are also a good way to interact with your students. So if you have a Zoom account, please don't hesitate to reach out to your students and even give a little tutoring. Excuse me. So the more presence you have in your discussions, the better chance you have of connecting with your students. You know, you want to make sure that you're in your class at least 3 different days, and you're grading assignments in discussions 3 different days or replies. Best practice is 5 days a week. So always be in your discussions, provide positive feedback, and start each reply with your student's name. It's another way of showing your students that you're thinking about them. Some retention strategies: monitor retention for all students in all degree programs. Find out if there are any courses the students are failing or scoring low in. Understand student needs and track progress in learning management system. That'll also help with retention. Some of the suggestions that I mentioned earlier is one of the biggest keys to retention is being proactive by creating an early warning system to identify any barriers that may prevent a student from progressing towards earning a degree. And last but not least, got questions? Anyway, this concludes my presentation on ways to increase best practices on increasing retention rates. I hope that you learned a few things, and I'm sure you did, and I'm sure you're already doing most of them. But thank you very much, and I will be here and answering questions.
So yeah, feel free to ask any questions or comments. You can unmute yourself or type in the chat if you have anything for Dr. Limon. Or if you have anything else, Dr. Limon.
Yeah, I would love to take some questions if you have any. I think all of us are great instructors already, and we're already doing this, but we can always go out of our way to do a little bit better. And that's one of the things about faculty is that we strive every year to get better, and we learn from our previous mistakes and always just try to get better in everything we do. And that's been my motto, and that's what I stick with. So I will be here if you have any questions.
Yeah, you had a lot of good points in your presentation. Just engagement is a very important thing for faculty to remember. And I think students can sense if you have passion in your work or not, for sure.
Oh, yes, definitely. I definitely will. Forgot to mention something about the library, but yes, absolutely important. Kira, is to the library. It's so important. And it's a good thing about it is when students go to the student orientation, they actually get to, that's part of it, is learning about the library and tutoring services. So that's great that you brought that up. Thank you. And Margaret is asking a question: what would be the most single important step in retaining students? Well, that's a great question because like I said, there is no potion or magic potion. It's basically continuously reaching out to your students, checking the grade book, discussions, looking at the engagements. You'll know if the students, maybe they just do an initial post, but they don't reply to their other students. So that right there to me tells me that well they're not very engaged. So you have to take a look at that. It's assignments. If they're continually submitting assignments late, or the assignment's not in correct APA format, and they just don't care, and they don't even have a title page, that tells me that they're not trying very much. And so that tells me I gotta get a hold of the student. And so I think that there's many ways, not just one way, and to help with retention. It's just like I said, it's $1 million question. How do we do it? If every university knew how to do it perfectly, then we would live in a perfect environment and we'd all have 100% retention. And that's just not the case. like I said, life events get in the way, but we can do everything that I did mention and take away some of those barriers and know our customer, know our students, know them in and out. Read the introductions. That tells you a lot about them. Tells you where they're from, tells you what they're doing with their life, if they have children, if they have 2 jobs. So then you can just get a lot from just their introductions, and that also can help manage your students while you're teaching them. Now, one of the most important things I would like to say, though, it's very important that all of you contact the faculty lead whenever you see students with low retention rates. And that's just by low, you could go to Canvas and tell how long a student has been in the classroom. If they've been in there 15 minutes and it's been week 1, then there's a problem. But you as an instructor should reach out to them, but you also send an email to the lead faculty, and they will definitely, hopefully I'm sure they'll send them an email, and then that'll help hopefully increase, retention. Because like I said, most of the time, these students just want to know that they are somebody. They're just not a number, and they're just not taking their courses online. We want to make this one of the best experiences they could ever have, and that we want them to come back for a master's degree. We want them to tell their friends and family, hey, I had a great experience on this, I had a great online experience with this university, and we want them to promote, because most of the time, a lot of the students will come to our school from word of mouth and from other students. So it's very important that we continually just try to do our best as faculty. And that's all I have to answer that question. Okay.
Okay, well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. So I thank you very much for presenting, and thank you everyone for attending. Please complete the follow-up survey, which have been posted in the chat. The survey, as well as a recording of this presentation, can be found on the CETL YouTube channel, CETL website, and Ask CETL as well. And I will also send an email to all the attendees with all this information. Have a great weekend, everyone. And
yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay.